Hey, welcome to Movie Club Monday. We are back to the MTU this week with Hawkeye, which is a 6-episode mini-series on Disney Plus that ended right before Christmas, right? I'm Frank Gaffney. Here with me is Amy Goldman in a turtleneck, Joel Fenster in a red shirt of some sort. What shirt is that?
Santa suit, actually. It's a Santa t-shirt.
Okay. Mark Wotitz Gartner, Trust the Bro Movie Company. It's well run. And Annie King has dinner reservations. I love a girl who wears Abercrombie and Fitch. And we have a special guest, Bill Wernicke, who is edging to become a regular, and Nan.
Fairfield University, woohoo. Go Stags.
And Nan Gelman is driving in her car home from work. That black spot you see, that's Nan. All right, so since Annie has dinner reservations, we're going to let her go first. And what did you think of the miniseries?
Yeah, so I watched it a while back. I finished it, and then I just rewatched it this weekend. And upon second viewing, I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I liked the way different characters came in. I thought it was cool, and I always liked Hawkeye. You know, he's the only one with no real superhuman powers, and yet he gets things done. And mine was 3.5.
Just like every school teacher in America.
That's right.
And that's it? You're done?
Well, I'm sure you have a lot to talk about.
Sure. Feel free to interject at any time.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So firstly,
Does that go for all of us?
I'm sorry?
What?
Does that go for all of us?
Of course, it always goes for all of us. I'm hurting cats now, but okay. So firstly, I was never a fan of Hawkeye for the very reason she said, because he's just a regular guy and he knows how to shoot a bow and arrow. Big whoop. And I'm not a fan of Jeremy Renner either. I don't know. He just seems like such a cranky ass. He really does.
Let me just ask a question then to both of you, because Black Widow has the same powers as he does. Nothing.
Yes.
So do you like her better because it's Scarlett Johansson?
Of course.
She's more intriguing as a character?
Well, in the end game, they had to kill off Black Widow because the audience wouldn't care if Hawkeye died. So they didn't care about her, so they had to kill her off. Yeah, I think we got more Black Widow's story a little bit more than his. Like, we never got anything on him, except that he had a family.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that they really did. He got to flesh out his character a little more here with the deafness and all of that, and it really did help. But and yeah, he cleaned up good in that tuxedo. That, you know, he looked almost Bondish in his tuxedo. But okay, so Haley Steinfeld.
It's great.
She's terrific as Kate Bishop. She really is. And
Academy Award nominee.
And she's kind of Hawkeye in training, if you will. And she says in one of the episodes that the problem with Hawkeye is branding. But I don't think that's. I think the bigger problem is Jeremy Renner's interpretation of the character. That's what I think. It's boring. He's just boring. All right, but it was great fun to see them create all of the arrows. That was fun. So you got a little more information on and all the fun arrows that he created. That was fun in the end. So right at the beginning in the flashback, we see Kate, and we flash back to the original Avengers 9 years before, with the alien invasion, and her father disappeared, and so she becomes a little enamored of Hawkeye because she sees that one clip that we saw in every trailer every single time of him falling down backwards and shooting the arrow in slow motion. And so he becomes a reluctant father figure to her. But there was a lot of fun going on. Vera Farmiga, her boyfriend was great. I loved him, whoever the hell he is. Is he a real comic book character?
Hold on, just the actor. I don't know the actor's name, but if you ever watch Breaking Bad, he's on there as one of the a mob boss, and he has the same I think that's his acting style. He just comes in as super charismatic, and in there, he smiles as he's about to kill you. He just seems like he's a very charismatic person in real life. It carried over in this, and I loved him too.
Yeah.
His
So
name is,
was he a character in the comic books?
Yeah, yeah.
yes, first of all, the actor's name is Tony Dalton, and the character of
No
Jack
relation to
King-
Timothy.
No relation. The character in the comic books is actually a hero / villain, depending on how they use him, named Swordsman.
And he trains Hawkeye, right?
In the comic books, he trained Hawkeye in how to use a sword.
Yeah.
Well, I liked him a lot. And Florence Pugh, God love her.
Yeah.
Like she needs her own movie right now. Is she getting one?
I'm going to say it's going to be both of them. I would say you're going to see the two of them together because of their chemistry.
Two-
Yeah, I
who-
hope so.
Who do you think? You think
Or
Haley
Haley.
Steinfeld or?
Haley Steinfeld, and either whether it's a Young
the
Avengers
two of
movie
them. Yeah.
or these two teaming, they're two big name stars. They're going to come into the big screen. Whether again, I think it's going to be a like a sister movie with the two of them, or it'll be an ensemble like the next level, next generation of Avengers.
I think you're going to see them starting to put together the Young Avengers, because you've got a new Captain America in Sam Wilson. You've
Right.
got these two characters. We've got Riri Williams showing up as Ironheart later on in her own series, but she'll be in the Black Panther sequel first. There's a lot of things in motion that seem to be pushing in that direction.
Thor, new Thor, yeah.
Yep.
And I learned something new in the geek world that I never knew before. LARP.
LARPing?
Same here.
LARP. I never heard of LARPing. It seems like an incredible waste of time.
Oh, it's a
Aw,
thing.
that's
Worse
mean.
than the Renaissance Fair. Good Lord.
Hey,
What do you think people who go to the Renaissance Fair do when there is no Renaissance Fair?
They LARP.
Exactly.
LARP. I LARP you guys.
If you go to college or university, they are pretty big on college university campuses.
On
I think they're
colleges and
big on
university
campuses.
Well,
campuses.
I think you might,
They
maybe,
LARP.
I mean, LARPing, and then there's SCA, which is Society for Creative Anachronism. They're a little different.
Society for Creative what?
Anachronism.
Anachronisms?
They're the ones that do sort of a little more, LARPing is more fantasy, more, swords and sorcery.
Well, the
Society
even
for Creative-
funnier thing is
Society,
I watched,
SCA does actual reenactments of medieval battles.
I
a little more
watched
based in
an
history.
episode of The World According to Jeff Goldblum, and it was on gaming, and he went LARPing.
LARPing.
Really?
Like, I just found out about it, and here Jeff Goldblum is LARPing.
That's
I
great.
think SCA kind of led to LARPing, but yeah.
The Tracksuit Mafia.
Yes.
Very fun.
Come on, bros.
Bro,
Bro.
They're actually called the Tracksuit Draculas.
They suck people's blood?
I don't know. That's just what they're called.
All right. Rogers the Musical. I need to see the whole thing.
yes. Yeah.
I
Oh
love
my
that
God.
they had
so
the
funny.
entire.
That
Oh
was
my God. It was
I did love the whole song in the post credits in the last episode. though.
Yes.
It was
That was
just
so good.
ridiculous.
Smash. Smash.
Yeah.
And that poor dog with
I
his
could do
whacked
this
up,
all day. Sorry, go ahead.
and that poor dog with his whacked up eye. I'm like, oh.
I was waiting for that dog to become like important to the plot, the entire show. Like at first, I thought there was going to be something with that dog because he was way too featured in the beginning of the show.
Because everybody loves dogs. He was
Yeah.
only in it because he's actually in the comic, right? As Lucky.
Yeah.
And everybody loves a dog.
Oh, is he in the comics? Okay.
Does Lucky also have one bad eye?
No, that's CGI. He has two good eyes.
Oh, the
the
actual
character
dog.
Lucky does, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. And of course, the whole thing ends at the tree in Rockefeller Center, which was really impressive. It really was, that whole section. But couldn't Hawkeye just climb down the tree instead of her having to knock it down?
That was a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I gotta toot my own horn. As soon as he landed there, I turned to Danielle and I said, they really should put an owl in the tree. And 2 seconds later, boom.
Yeah.
I did put in the note, it was a great homage to the actual owl who was
Yes.
found in the tree 2 years
Yes,
ago.
exactly.
Oh, that was a thing.
Yes, that
Last year.
exact owl, type of owl.
And then we got to the bone of contention for Joel, Kingpin. I know that isn't that the one thing that's keeping you from 4 stars, Kingpin?
Yes. Well, not Kingpin himself. It's where they've left him. It's like you
So-
don't bring somebody back that big, getting everybody excited. And I know that it's a comic book. You don't see him die, blah, blah, blah. It was a bullshit move at the end and it annoyed the crap out of me.
Well, here's the thing. It's just a cliffhanger like everything else.
No, I know that. It still
So
annoyed the crap out of me.
then it's gonna come up somewhere in the next thing.
Well, it'll come up in when Maya Lopez gets her own show, which she's getting.
He's getting a TV show.
She's getting, yeah, it's called Echo because that's the name of her character.
Echo.
Echo.
Echo?
Yes, Echo.
Yeah, and so then Kingpin will show up there, no?
I'm sure he will, based on storylines that happened in the comic books. It still annoyed the crap out of me. It was just the one thing that keeps it from being 4 stars for me. So
I think you're being harsh.
I am.
So what?
I'm allowed to be.
So this was the thing though about Vincent D'Onofrio. Is that who it is?
Yep.
Yeah, he's the twitchiest actor in America. He like the whole time, and then I kind of felt
you should
a little
watch Men in
bit-
Black.
I kind of felt a
Watch
little
him in Men
bit-
in Black.
Yeah, it's got the whole.
He's very twitchy in Men in Black,
Yeah.
Oh,
and
he's hysterical in Men in Black, though.
and I felt like he was channeling Jim Carrey in The Mask every now and then. I'm like, I just
Oh,
kept
God,
hearing
watch
Jim
Men in
Carrey
Black.
in my head.
If you had watched Daredevil, you would see where they were going with this character, and it all perfectly buttons in from the 3 seasons of Daredevil into Hawkeye. So,
And I've heard, I read a little bit of an interview with him recently
Yeah.
where he said this is actually that Kingpin. It fits right into the Kingpin from that he previously played. So it's not like a different, universe version or they're not,
Right. And we saw Kingpin in the animated movie, and he
Yes.
had the little head and the big body.
Yes.
I felt Vincent D'Onofrio had that. Definitely had that. And
Had a big
the
head, too.
Hawaiian shirt with the red band and the white. It was very
that also annoyed me because Wilson Fisk would never be wearing a Hawaiian shirt like that.
that's actually right from the comic book.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
No, it is.
I read it.
Okay.
There was
All
a
right,
storyline with the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. So okay, if Die Hard is our favorite Christmas movie,
Yes.
then Hawkeye will now be our favorite Christmas TV show.
100%.
Okay.
That's my thought. And I have to admit, it really was my favorite Disney series we've watched so far. But I'm still not a Jeremy Renner fan. I don't care. And it's good to see Hawkeye has a new partner in case they're on an alien planet and he needs to throw somebody off a cliff. Then he has somebody to do it too. So I'm going with 3.5 stars on this one. A very solid 3.5 stars. It was very fun. I never felt like it was too long. Like they could, like some of those other ones, like one less episode would have been great. This felt really like the perfect length. I'm going with 3.5 stars. Aim, do you agree?
No, I do not agree with 3.5 stars. I'm giving it 4 stars. Ah,
But she hated it.
I hated it.
That's my cousin.
I hated it. 4 stars.
I actually watched the first 4 episodes 3 times and then 5 and 6 2 times. I even took notes. I did think that, looking at my notes, I did think that there were a lot of things that were very pat, like the way she can pick a deadbolt lock in seconds. And then, of course, Clint tells her to lock the door, like, lock the door. If a 22-year-old can unlock this door, anybody can. There were other times she had to go into the building and the building vestibule door was open and then the main door was open. Nothing was locked anywhere. Everywhere they had to go, they were able to get in. And just like the one that killed me was when they were having dinner at Eleanor's house and Clint looked and saw the sword there. There was no way he was getting that sword right there in the room with all those people. So the writers also must have thought the same thing and said, we're not going to show it. He's just going to have it. How the hell could he possibly gotten that sword? So just, I mean, little stupid things. There were so many things I loved. I loved seeing the Battle of New York from the other side, from people in the houses dying, which was what we've always said. Oh my God, the Avengers are destroying every city they go near.
Collateral damage.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the Christmas music all throughout being played as the background music. And you have to go, oh my God, they're doing the Carol of the Bells, but it sounds really sinister. Na, 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 na. Or only the MCU could make the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy sinister, or using the credit sequence of episode 5 playing the Grinch theme right after we just saw Kingpin. I thought that was brilliant. I loved, let's look at my notes. I loved the Pym arrow. The one turning the truck small in the last episode was a little stupid, but the arrow that was gigantic, like a missile, was brilliant. You mentioned the owl. I loved seeing Elena go through the blip and then immediately coming back and you see like the wallpaper change. Love, love, loved. I just absolutely loved it. There were so many episodes. I mean, there were only 6. There were so many episodes that ended and I went, oh my God, it's over already. I can't believe it's over already. Absolutely loved it. I loved the chemistry with Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, they were very cute.
Adorable together.
Yeah.
Just loved it. Loved, loved, loved. I mean, I thought the final episode, there were moments where it turned very MTU and it was a little over the top. The tree falling looked great, but he would have been dead. I'm sorry. There was just so much fighting going on. But I also loved when Echo, whatever the heck her name is, put her hand out to help Jeremy Renner up. I was like, oh, but they didn't like hug and go off together, but they, you know, made a little pact. That's all. Loved it. And absolutely my favorite, obviously my favorite of the MCU.
Bill, do you agree?
I don't know if I give it 4 stars. I give it 3.75. There were a couple little niggling things. The first episode, seeing Vera Farmiga talking to her, you know, the older gentleman that ended up dead. I was like one of those. All right, so we're gonna find out that she's a villain and she's really the bad guy. That was just so obvious to me. Whether or not I thought the boyfriend was maybe, you know, was going to be part of everything as well. So I kind of liked the fact that he ended up to just be this sort of not oblivious, but just, you know, I mean, obviously he was at that first, you know, he's at he's at the auction at the beginning. So obviously he's not perfect, you know, he's going to these black market auctions for the stuff, but he was a little bit just kind of like just going through life and just enjoying his life. And I loved him at the end when he got the sword, and he was just loving just being the swordsman that, you know, just sort of the swashbuckling, finally getting, I feel like that character finally got to live out his fantasy of actually, you know, being in the middle of a sword fight and saving people and stuff like that.
And I agree with you on him, and I love the whole trope of, well, the first 5 episodes we see him, we're thinking this is a real douchebag, right. And all of a sudden he did a 180-degree flip, which was a little ridiculous, but he was adorable.
I don't think he ever did, though. I think if you go back and watch it a second time, you'll see that everything he was doing, he was really just trying to, like, you know, he was literally trying to get her to like him. It's like, okay,
I think because we had it in our heads that he was a bad guy,
right? That's
how we interpreted his
but we all did rewatch the whole series with the new eyes of knowing, and I still was watching it today, like he's still playing it a little harsher.
I haven't watched it a second time. I only watched it the first time. I only watched it.
That's the brilliance. That's the brilliance. You have to lead us down that path.
Yeah.
You have to.
I mean, you talked about the chemistry between Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner. I loved, one of my favorite parts about the entire series was the scene where Haley Steinfeld and Florence Pugh are just sitting in her apartment having just, when she walks in and she's like, come on, and they're eating macaroni and cheese together and just, you know, chatting and, you know.
And that's the kind of scene that would be hard to shoot into a 2.5-hour movie.
Right.
So it was good to see.
Yelena, and you just see Yelena and Kate starting to have a little bit of chemistry together, and it was just kind of cool to just kind of, and Yelena was just like, I like you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going after Hawkeye.
And they were adorable in the elevator too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I really like that. I love the LARPers. I thought they were a great little bit of comic.
Yeah.
You know, and
Dan has
the
her
fact that
police
they-
radio on.
yeah, and the fact that they brought them along, so they became. It wasn't just that first scene, and his reaction to them at first is brilliant. I mean, walking
Yes.
through, having to walk through the fight and just being like, "This is just stupid." Bah, bah,
Yeah, I
bah.
think I would have the same
Yeah.
reaction. Quite.
Yeah.
And Grills was so cute. Like, please, man, you gotta let me kill you.
Yeah, let me kill you. Yeah.
But I also, I'm gonna disagree with you, Frank. I actually, it's not Jeremy Renner, but I mean, I like the character. I love the fact that he humanizes all of these other, all of these other superheroes. It's that moment in the second Avengers movie where he's talking to Scarlet Witch, where he's like, "This is all crazy. There's all these people, there's robots and all this stuff, and I'm a guy with a bow and arrow. It's nuts." But I love the fact that he's spending the whole show just trying to get back to his family for Christmas. And he can't let this poor girl that he got into trouble because of something that was in his past go either. And so he feels that responsibility to her. And I love that humanizing element that he brings to all of these superhero shows. He's just like, in a lot of ways, he's a normal guy. And I actually think that that's a strength for his character and not a weakness.
Mark, what do you say?
I say a lot of the same things everyone else has said. For me, this was definitely my favorite MTU show by far. So because of that, I'm going to give it actually 3.6 stars because I gave Falcon and Winter Soldier 3.5, but I also gave the movie Captain America Winter Soldier and Spider-Man No Way Home 3.75, and it wasn't quite there for me. It was basically like Falcon and Winter Soldier, but a lot less convoluted, very much more easy to follow. And like everyone said, each episode left you wanting more. So I will start with just picking my nits. One major issue, one more of a jokey issue. The jokey issue is the end scene of the end of the last episode. Where in Rockefeller Center are there no cops? There are thousands of people running around, not one cop to see. Oh, bye, Annie.
Enjoy your dinner.
Just the amount of, and it was like a clown car of bros that were coming out of nowhere.
I mean, I'm
fine with
where are all these people from?
And as soon as they got rid of 10, 40 more came running. And again, not a cop to be seen in Rockefeller Center on Christmas. Sure. Anyway, that's just for us New Yorkers.
There's never a cop around when you need one, right?
But the one real issue I had was, and hear me out in this, it was Yelena loves her sister, right? And they finally met after being estranged back in 2016. The Yelena that was then snapped in 2018. So she had 2 years to get to re-know her sister, during which time, as she said, she loves her sister. You think that she would know all about Clint. She would know that Clint not only saved her sister, but that he was basically like a brother. And they've been through a lot of stuff together. They had each other's backs. So she would know that this is one guy that she can trust to watch her sister. Then Elaine fucking Bennis shows up and tells her, oh, Clint Bart's to blame for this. And she just believes it right away and won't listen to anything anyone has to say. I thought that was extremely unbelievable. And it actually irked me to it was bothering me so much. When I rewatched it the second time, it didn't bother me as much, but did I miss anything? Because that was complete bad writing in my opinion.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it bugged me. Having said that, that's why I didn't get a little bit more stars from me. Everything everyone already said, just the Haley Steinfeld and Florence Pugh together, every scene they had. I loved how she kept calling her Kate Bishop the whole time too. The tracksuit guys, which they really were in the comics, and they're supposed to be dumb like that too in the comics, and they use all the bros and all that stuff. What else? Anyone else? Haley Steinfeld, just in general, I thought really crushed it. As she really did a good job of playing that young, naive, innocent girl who just wants to make a name for herself. But also, she had the guts. She had she was also brave and noble and everything. So
she didn't have one bad line reading. She was perfect.
Yeah, I loved her.
Perfect.
So
Agreed.
good.
Agreed. Yeah, grills, the whole LARPer thing. I never heard of that either. I didn't know it was real. I thought they made it up for the show, to be honest, until Frank just told us everything. So that's it for me. I've already watched it twice. I plan on watching it a third time. It was so thoroughly enjoyable.
I would definitely watch it again. All right, Nan, can you turn off your transmitter
radio?
and turn your phone the other way?
Like Spider-Man, always listening to the police scanner.
Yeah.
She never
Yes.
knows when she's gonna have to go out and save somebody.
Yes.
No, I just never know when I have to go back to work.
Yeah.
All
They
right.
They can't call you on the phone like a person?
Sometimes it's, no, if they're in a situation, they may not be able to call.
All right, can you turn your phone the other way?
Which way?
Sideways.
This way?
Yeah, you'll get a bigger picture.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Now you're the star.
Oh, God, you're in
All right,
trouble.
what did you think?
Well, I gave it 4 stars. I absolutely loved it.
That's my cousin.
That's right. Great minds think alike. I love Jeremy Renner. I've seen him in a lot of different things. What I like about what he did with this character was he humanized it. You can, and this was a line from the series, you don't have to have superpowers to be a superhero. And he developed a real caring for Haley. And you can see at the end where he became her mentor. And yeah, everybody said, and I'm not going to say it again, but the relationship between her and Elena, the relationship between, you could see the chemistry between the relationship between Haley and Jeremy. The first time I watched it, finding out Mom was the real villain was kind of a neat twist, because you really didn't think Mom was the villain. You thought her boyfriend was.
Yeah, but it was a little bit of knowing Vera Farmiga. It was like, why would she take this just to be the thankless mom role? You know, so
Yeah.
so there
That's
was
all
a
She's a
little
pretty
bit
big
of,
name.
Villainous moms.
Huh?
All Vera Farmiga plays is villainous moms.
right.
I
Bates
hadn't seen
Motel,
her before, so
right?
I didn't know that. And I just thought, I mean, I've watched this thing a dozen times, and every time I watch it, I get something different. I find something different about it. I give dramatic license to things like, yes, there were no cops around, and in New York City today, you know, if somebody yells on the street corner, you're going to have 20, well, depending upon whether or not, I can't make a political statement, never mind, but
Yeah.
you're going to have cops around.
Yeah.
So,
I think Mark, it's like you always say, it's a comic book necessity.
Yeah, I mean, the Avengers destroy the city and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
the play, if you didn't watch the end of it, I did watch it. I actually found it kind of annoying. Sorry.
Oh, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But
Oh,
it's
it's
fun.
It's supposed to
fabulous.
be annoying.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's
That's
supposed to be
what's
Great
terrible.
about it.
The
Yeah.
music, that song is awful.
I could do
That's
this
the-
all day. That's the
Catchy. It's
point.
Adam Pascal has a great voice. I mean,
Well, I mean, I love
Yeah.
Adam Pascal, but that song
That's the-
is
that's the
terrible.
entire point of
It
it.
is terrible.
Entire point.
I thought it was kind of annoying. I didn't understand what the purpose was to put it at the end. Can somebody explain that to me?
So basically, the producers had a different tag scene that they wanted to use. And then they decided at the last minute, they knew that they had a lot of clout with musical theater fans because of what they had done in episode 1. So they decided to give them a holiday gift. Literally, that's why it says at the end, Happy Holidays
Happy
for Marvel
holidays,
Studios.
yeah.
That's all it was. And I happen to agree, Nan. It's a fun song the first time when you see it in the first episode. Seeing the whole thing, I'm kind of like, all right, that's cute. It's
Yeah.
funny. It's entertaining. I don't need to see this part again and again, because I'll cut it off the next time I watch it. because it's just
Yeah,
like,
I didn't-
eh,
Yeah, how many times are you gonna watch all of those end credit sequence?
Yeah.
Who cares? Same
but
thing.
originally they were going to come back to the tracksuit mafia
Bros,
guys
right?
that were in the
Yeah.
shrunken truck
Yep.
that had been taken off by
Oh.
an owl. They were
That
going
was
to be in
great.
an owl's nest, kind of
That's funny.
figure out what the hell they're doing. Yeah.
Did they film it? Because it's why don't they have that as an extra? There's no extras on these
It's-
shows.
It sounds like they did film it. There aren't really extras, although they have been dropping making ofs under their assembled. I think it's called Marvel Assembled or something like
Yeah,
that. If you look
something
up
like
Plus, the one for Hawkeye drops in 2 weeks, so
Oh, good to
It'll
know.
probably
Thank
be in there.
It might be
they
there.
might show it there.
All right, Joel,
Right now
King,
it's called WandaVision.
Right.
all right, Joel, Kingpin aside. What else?
Kingpin
did you
aside,
think?
it's based on what I've given other things over the last year in the Marvel universe. It's a very solid 3.77. I don't know. It's I can't give it a 4 because it's nothing. It has to be really something for me to give it a 4. It was highly entertaining. I have no problems with Jeremy Renner playing the character. I love the fact that in both Marvel and DC, you have these Archer characters. And in the comics, sometimes they've always felt like they could be interchangeable. The Green Arrow and Hawkeye, as they're written sometimes in the comics, it's like, yeah, all right, they're almost the same person sometimes. But, I like the fact that here, Hawkeye is very different from how Green Arrow has been portrayed on the TV. I think everything everybody said fits. It's a lot of fun. It's well cast. It's well written. It moves very quickly. It is the shortest of the shows so far. Even though they're all 6 episodes for the most part, this only runs about 4 hours and 45 minutes or so, where the others are all 5 and above.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't feel like 4:45. It moves. It moves very quickly. And it's a lot of fun. And Kingpin aside, I love that he's back. That was the important part. And the timing of it was also perfect because the same week we get to see him for the first time since Daredevil season 3, we get to see Charlie Cox playing Matt Murdock, who's Daredevil in Spider-Man No Way Home during the same week. So I thought that was fortuitous timing.
So next, the Daredevil movie.
No. I think they're all going to show up again in the Echo TV show.
Are
So,
they going to make a season 2 for Hawkeye?
not as of yet. They haven't said anything. So,
I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah.
well, I'm sure he'll show up again somewhere. It's just a matter of where and when. So,
Yeah, so I don't know. Is it kind of arbitrary to say, let's give Hawkeye a movie? No, let's give him a series.
well, it's not arbitrary in the sense that, from what I understand, Jeremy Renner was actually signed to do a Hawkeye movie, and when things changed around with where they were going with phase 4, they decided instead, let's give you a series so we can give you a little bit more story than you would get in a movie. And he jumped at it. So, whether there's a season 2 or not, I'm not sure what it depends on. The only show that has a season 2 is Loki. I mean, aside from What If, but that was already planned. So, WandaVision is moving into the Doctor Strange movie, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier is moving into a Captain America movie. So I'm sure Hawkeye will show up again somewhere. I just don't know where. Hopefully.
If you go back to Avengers 1, I remember reading that he wanted to be killed off in that one because he didn't like the character.
Yeah.
So it is interesting that he loved the idea of getting his own show, and he wanted to, I guess, his moment to shine finally.
Yeah. And he
Yeah.
did it well, I thought. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at 4 hours and 45 minutes, it's 2 movies.
I mean,
Yeah.
I also felt like this Hawkeye show was as much about Kate as it was about him. I mean, it really
Of course.
was.
Just like Black Widow, the movie. It's a passing of the torch.
Yeah.
Right. And
And it's
she's a comic book character too, Kate Bishop.
Yes. Yeah. And her mother's a villain in that, and it's
Right.
it's
Well, she
it-
becomes
you know,
Hawkeye.
What?
She
yeah, she
becomes
does
Hawk.
eventually become Hawk. Yeah.
Lady Hawk.
Does she have an
Lady
H on her
Hawk.
head like she suggested?
Well,
No,
so I wanted
that-
to say that the purple costume that she drew was what Hawkeye wore in the early 90s when I was reading.
Yeah.
His personality in that, I'm sure I mentioned it over the last year. He was a lot more like Iron Man. He was a real wise ass. He was funny. He was not super serious like this. So
Right.
But
Interesting
Hawkeye's
take.
he's been wearing that costume with the purple costume with the H on his head and the wings since the 60s. So
Oh yeah, that's good.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
All right, good. So we all agree it was fun. And we would watch it again. Nan's already seen it 6 times.
In the New York way, I loved that they actually had Light FM in playing, but they called it for some reason 107.6. I was like, no, that's 106.7 Light FM. I wonder why they did
That's
that. That's all. I
Might
just
have
love when
been
they do little inside New Yorky things.
Yeah,
Sure.
considering they got the rights to all those Christmas songs, I don't see why they couldn't get the rights for a radio station.
But they
But
got the
okay,
rights to the
so-
call letters.
All right, so next week we are going back to torturing each other. And this time we're going to do Mark's choice, The Color Purple. Which is available on HBO Max if you subscribe to that service. Okay? Great.
Okay.
Love you all. I'm Frank Gaffney. I'll MC you Color Purple next week.
Real quick,
So with you.
great to see you guys. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year.
man.
Happy
Yeah.
New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Love you, doll.
Love you too.
We're still
Love you
recording.
even more- Well, so what? I love you
know.
more. You did